On behalf of IMG Reliance and Lakme Fashion Week, I welcome each one of you to this special edition of Friday Funda with the inimitable Parmesh Shahani. Take a bow. This edition is extremely special for us because it's the celebration of 15 years of LFW, and also our collaboration with the India Culture Lab is now in its third season, which I'm extremely proud about. Friday Funda is a unique space at Lakme Fashion Week that creates meaningful conversations. I think perhaps it's the only space where your thoughts and ideas are given more importance than the label that you're wearing. So on that note, may I please welcome Parmesh to kickstart the event. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a great panel here. We have Anil, who was the former CEO of Lakme Lever, the father of Indian Fashion Weeks. We have daddies and mummies here. We have Mummy Anaita through from Vogue and Bollywood. Yes. We have their love child, Rohit Bal. Who is a legend, who for the past couple of decades has really taken Indian fashion, put it on the map in India and all around the world. So welcome. I want to ask all of you, but you and Aita, because we go back to just after that. It's been an incredible journey from there to L. I remember how we would share taxis and then go to work and, in a sense, help create this new scene. So I want to ask all of you, starting with you, of how it was 15 years earlier or 20 years earlier when you all began, when we didn't really have a fashion scene. So what did it mean like to create this scene?
Well, firstly, I'm speechless, so whatever thoughts I had have disappeared thanks to this embarrassing expose. No, I mean, I have to say that, when we started in fashion, it really was the start. In the sense, there were no magazines. I was fortunate to be hired by Elle, where I met Parmesh. And, we styled everything. We wrote everything ourselves. I mean, also roles were quite blurred. Everyone did everything. There was no producer. There was, not a fixed choreographer. Sometimes a good friend choreographed your show, or somebody who was great at makeup helped you out in a shoot. And I think from there to today, also very difficult for all of you to imagine, but there were no mobile phones. You couldn't take pictures like you are right now. There was no internet. It was all very personal. And I think that made a huge difference. It was all about personal connections. And I think the connections that we made then still hold us strong today. I mean, we could pick up the phone and, talk to each other, whereas internationally, you wouldn't do that with a label or a design house. So I think that's very refreshing. And I think from...
Did you educate yourself? Because there weren't that many places.
Totally. I mean, for me, there were no stylists, and there was definitely no school to go to if you wanted to be a stylist. So you learned on the job. And that's why even today, when I have people work with me, I always say, I don't know if my way is the right way, but it's the only way I know. And I've, just lived with my instinct, tried to create images that are in my mind's eye, and hope that everyone loves them and feels inspired.
Thank you, Rohit. If I can ask you how it was when you started out.
I was 15 years younger. I mean, that's the first thing that comes to mind. But this is true. Actually, I think when we started out, it was really the beginning. And it was like a cottage industry, literally made at home, very personal. Everyone kind of grew together. And I think that is the one thing I find extremely different here within the design world compared to Europe and other parts of the world, where designers are actually friends with each other. I think we all grew up together, our assistants now. We are still actually one slightly fragmented, but still a very fairly closely knit family, which is very unusual, and I think doesn't happen anywhere else in the world. I don't see anywhere else in the world designers going to see other designers' shows, for instance. It happens here all the time, and I think there's a genuine bond. I think because it's really still very new. I mean, comparatively, I think we're still only about 25 years old, which is, a lot newer than it's been in, at least in Europe. So I think there's a certain warmth, there's a certain sensitivity towards each other. And I think that is the biggest strength we have here. We're people keep saying things like, oh, this is not the way it happens in the West. So I don't understand why we keep saying that. Why should we do it the way it's done in the West? Our country is different. We are so diverse culturally. We are so many different people in the same place. I think, like she said, a very diverse growth. This is what I see, even in Indian fashion. If you look at it from the newer designers to the older ones, to the ones who are just about becoming designers, everyone has a diversity. Everyone has a kind of their own, I think, identity. And I think I've been seeing the shows here, and I'm really blown away, to be honest. I think congratulations to the whole lot of designers here, and to Lakme, of course. But really, I think the diversity is, as they say, adversity and diversity, and to use like old phrases. But I think it's the bonding within the designers, within the diversity, that makes Indian fashion unique and special. And I think what happened then, your question was, how did it begin? It began with a bond, and I still see that bond here. And I think that's really incredible, really incredible.
Thank you. Anil, Lakme Fashion Week played an important role in creating this ecosystem for this diversity to flourish, and for this family, this Indian fashion family to grow. Can you tell us about the early days and how you began it?
Yeah, the early days was, I think that I just build on a couple of things that Rohit said, and I'm not saying Guda, I'm saying Rohit. And it was that when the idea was proposed to Lakme and me to start a fashion week in India, I had no clue. Frankly, I had no clue. One had gone for a few shows. Why? Because Guda lived in Defense Colony and my parents lived there and I got invited. Or I went to a Tarun show because his father was an admiral in the Navy and my father was a general in the army, and we had neighboring houses, so we got invited to a show. Then Lakme started getting into saying that, look, cosmetics is about looking good, and looking good is about being contemporary and fashionable. And hence Lakme started that journey maybe a good 7-8 years before Lakme Fashion Week or Lakme India Fashion Week then came into being. And I used to spend a lot of time with, let's say, two designers. One was Wendell Rodrigues. He used to spend a lot of time with the Lakme team looking at the trends and the colors of the season. And so we would have things like earthy reds and smoky browns, which would be just fashion statements, but just faces. And when the idea was proposed that Lakme should sponsor, and that came from Fern Malice from IMG as well as Ravi Krishnan, I went to New York to have a look. And I was really amazed from the perspective of, and I'll be very, it's a vested interest, yes, Lakme is a part of Fashion Week, but it is also there to promote fashion as well as cosmetics, because cosmetics is integral to fashion. And I spent a lot of time saying that what's in it for somebody who is a sponsor? Do they really benefit from this association? And this benefit from the association has to be a partnership. And actually, Wendell was doing a course in New York on architecture or something. And every day I would sort of catch hold of him and say, after your sessions, let's sit down on the footsteps of New York Library. And I would say, does it make sense? And he says, India needs a fashion week, and Lakme is the best place to do it. And he gave me all the courage and the inspiration. And then the other person was Narendra Kumar, who used to also spend a lot of time conceptualizing. But when we got down to doing it, I think that one of the things which happened was that one knew a few people. And it became a very friendly environment. It wasn't a business relationship. It was something that, listen, what's good for fashion, what's good for Lakme, what's good for India, and everybody had these meetings and conversations which was saying what's good for everybody. And that's how it started. And if you may remember, Guda, the first Lakme India Fashion Week at the Taj Palace Hotel, it was a 7-day event. We actually didn't have enough designers to participate. And we had to then, and we were able to cook up stories then, and say that there is the finale, which requires a huge setup for theater, backdrops, and things like that, and we need a whole day to set it up. And as a result, day 6 was a blank day. Actually, there weren't that many designers who wanted to show. And day 7, and we had quite a lot of designers. Purnima, you remember about 7 designers, 10 designers, who all came and did their collection. And it was family. I think that the main thing which happened was that everybody was there to support each other. And a lot of people say to me, even 15 years later, what's the difference between Lakme Fashion Week and other fashion weeks? He says, you know, when we are here, it's like being in the family. So that stayed for 15 years.
So since you've touched upon other fashion weeks, let's talk about the politics of fashion weeks. Sure. And let's touch upon a bunch of things, but do you think perhaps we have too few fashion weeks in our country? Because, you know, there are so many, and I'm not saying this in jest, I'm saying there are multiple ways of looking at it. You know, one way of looking at it is that perhaps you need a few for definition. Another way of looking at it is, as Rohit said, is there is an Indian way of doing things, and why should we follow Western paradigms? Perhaps Fashion Week to us, whether it's entertainment, tamasha, some kind of node for middle class India or aspiring India to funnel their aspirations into. So perhaps too many is not a bad thing, but I just want to ask each of you about, do we have enough?
Okay, you can start with me. You know, I wrote a piece a few days after I quit Lakme, and along with that Lakme Fashion Week, which was about 3 years ago. And just reminiscing, saying that when we had one fashion week, we also had only once a year. And hence there was Lakme India Fashion Week for 6 years, only once a year. And if I go back and say that, listen, there were about 30, 40 models, 3 or 4 choreographers, stylists, no. There were no stylists there. In fact, Fern Malice brought this whole concept of stylists many years later. So when you look at choreographers, makeup artists, and all that, this was a community which consisted of 50 people. As you go further down, and even when you came into 2 shows, 2 seasons a year, and 2 fashion weeks, so we went from 1 to 4. And actually what happened was that there were people who were waiting to get an opportunity. They wanted to be a designer, and I'll be now politically incorrect. And I would say that in 6 years, when Lakme India Fashion Week was there, and it was only once a year, to the best of my memory, is that only 2 designers emerged who were really recognized. One was Varun Behel, and the other was Sabyasachi. Otherwise, for 6 years, there wasn't anything else. And if there wasn't anything else from designers, there weren't enough shows, there wasn't enough business opportunities, there wasn't enough buyers. That's it. The community just stayed with 50 people. Now look at it. And I'm just talking about just the Amazon Fashion Week that it's called now, and Lakme. It's become an industry. And beyond that, well, personally, my view is that forget the tamasha. At the end of the day, again, politically incorrect, you can have very lavish shows with fabulous sets, and everybody looks at the sets and the shows and doesn't look at the clothes. So well, that's a point of view. I think that when you are true to your runway, you got a great collection, your clothes speak, and forget the tamasha. That's what I feel.
Anayata and Rohit,
Yes, I feel there are too many fashion weeks. Sorry,
So tell
I'm
me
going to
why.
put it out there.
Yeah.
I think, yes, we're a big industry. Yes, we're a growing industry. But I feel if we had a unified front, we would be stronger. Design is growing. I have to give Lakme credit for bringing in so many new names that wouldn't be discovered before. But I still feel it would be fabulous as an industry for us to have 1 week a season. Because we are a small industry, even for the media, it's very difficult to go from 1 week to another, especially if you're also covering the international fashion weeks. It's exhausting. and it leaves you very little time to do anything else. And I think it would be the move in the right direction. In fact, I heard murmurs of it, but
So we
I
can
don't
ask
know.
Rohit.
Yeah.
So and Saket and everyone else who's here. So we've been hearing murmurs of a unified fashion week. So tell us about some of these murmurs, if any of you. Are we going to be unified? Are we not going to be, is there going to be a big unified fashion week?
Okay, we came this close to it. And
If I was Arnab, I would say breaking news.
we came this close to it, but logistically, it wasn't working out. Otherwise, there was no reason for us not to become the one. Also, one more thing I need to say to you is, yes, we have many fashion weeks, but I wouldn't call them fashion weeks. They're really fashion galas or fashion events. The term fashion week is being bastardized in India. I think, as far as I'm concerned, there are only 2 fashion weeks that are relevant and should be relevant. One is the Lakme India Fashion Week, and the other one now is the Amazon. And I think these are the only 2 that really matter. All the others are just really, kind of little sort of events, little entertainment things that happen in all sorts of cities, Bhatinda, Ludhiana, wherever they are. So I really don't think that there are so many fashion weeks in the country. There are only the 2. And I think being, like for instance, Paris, France is the size of Gujarat, right? We have 29 Gujarats in our country. So, if we have 2 fashion weeks, what's the big deal? I really don't see anything wrong with it. Also, I think what's happening is, even within these given fashion weeks, I think Lakme, as we discussed, in fact, last season, I think, stands for more of the creative, more the Gen Next, the newer, the kind of more edgy, more trendy. And I think that's the strength of Lakme. It's really definitely much more edgy and with it, and I think much more kind of in tune with what's happening internationally as well. I think the fashion week that's happened, the Amazon Fashion Week now, that's a little more business oriented, and it's a little more commercial, and that's the way they want it. So I think these 2 have a beautiful coexistence. I think there's great synergy. And what's really amazing also is the fact that it's not that there are Lakme Fashion Designer Weeks and there's Amazon Fashion Designer Weeks. There's just designers that keep showing in both. We have loyalties towards both. I mean, I know I'm a part of both as much as I want to be, and I'm very happy about it. But like I said, I think there is a certain synergy. And, if I'm doing the finale at Lakme Fashion Week, I might be doing the finale at the Wills at the Amazon Fashion Week next season. I think it's healthy, to be honest. I think it's healthy, and I see nothing wrong with it. But please remember that only the 2. There are not many more than that.
You mentioned Gen Next as an interesting innovation. So I want to ask each of you, over the past 15 to 20 years, what are some of the other interesting milestones that you think have come out of that have helped the Indian fashion industry to grow? Say like Gen Next or something else. Yeah.
Well, I was talking with Vinod earlier, and he said, the one thing I really look forward to is the Gen Next show. And I think a lot of us share that feeling. Because it's that thing of something new, a new idea, a new expression. And you know that the strong ones are going to have their standalone shows or their shared shows on the main runway the next year. And I have to say, every season, there is always a couple of bright sparks that just take your breath away. And that's what we're here for. I mean, at the end of the day, we want to see that new raw talent being groomed and then grow into a standalone label. I mean, like Rohit said, it's about the future. It's not about dwelling on the past. It's about looking ahead. And this is the future, because the designers who are already established will continue doing what they do. But you need the fresh blood to keep the industry fresh and growing along with them.
Anil, are there any other interventions in the past few years that you...
I think that, there's been a reference to Gen Next, which you just said, both of you just said. There was a thought which was there, and, I'm more a corporate guy. I'm trained to sort of say, what's the objective, what's the process, how do you get to go about doing it? And when you come to Gen Next, the thought process there was, like we just said, that there were only a handful of designers and over the years. And we said that new people, young people, should get an opportunity. And typical brand positioning statement was made in the Hindustan Lever Lakme office, which said, and that line stays for 9 years. And thank you, Purnima, for continuing that. It says defining the future of fashion. And that's what Lakme, when we said that we are going to be separate, what are we going to stand for? And we said we will defining the future of fashion. There's another statement which has dropped off, by the way, which was integrating India into the global fashion world. And I can talk about that as to why, and I think Gunnar touched on it. And when we said that define the future of fashion, future is always in the hands of young people, any industry. And emanating from that came the idea of Gen Next. And I am particularly delighted. And one senior designer said, Anil, 15 years it took me before people could recognize me. Lakme Fashion Week puts these people, 5 young guys there. 3 years later, they have enough money, they have their own stores, and your magazine is covering them, every other magazine is covering them. So I think it's a great move forward, and I think the whole future of fashion is in the hands of young people, and it's not only Lakme. I think that maybe I can again be politically incorrect. These were the ideas which were there, and then what happened was that FTCI realized that, and there's nothing wrong in picking up a good idea. There was a high five which came up. So these were the thoughts which were there. But I want to just sort of say that what happened and what went wrong, because I think there's more learning from what goes wrong, was this following of the West and the way that the West was doing it. And a lot of the learning came actually from IMG. And IMG gave us some very good learnings and some learnings not appropriate to our country. And that was that, listen, get the buyers from abroad. Huge amount of investments were made, massive, by FDCI and subsequently by also Lakme Fashion Week and IMG, flying in people from Macy's and Renaissante and Bloomingdale's and Browns and things like that. Zero business. Am I right, Rohit?
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of the designers also spent a lot of money participating in the international fashion weeks, and there was no business. And we supported. We sent people to New York Fashion Week. Ashish Soni went there. Sabyasachi went there. There was the Australian Fashion Week. There was the Singapore, Berlin, etc. Sum total of it all was nothing. And I think that all of you would support that. I think there's so much in our country, not only from the traditional heritage that we are proud of, but the young generation. And you look at some of the designs and the collections that I've seen in the last 2 days, I'm absolutely delighted with it there. And then, again, we are big enough, we are relevant enough to take what is right from the West, and we are also have to be appropriate what's right for this country. Internationally, we said, oh, it's spring, summer. Internationally, it's autumn, winter. We don't have a spring and we don't have an autumn, and we are summer, and we are, a lot of parts of the country are not even winter. And Vogue said, no, 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 but that's the way it's done. Elle said, no, 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 that's the way it's done. So I said, no. And, but and then the next thing is, you show today, and you can buy the collections in the stores 6 months later. Excuse me, there were designers showing today, and their collection was at the Azar store the next morning. So what are we trying to do? Be realistic as to what is there. So on this 15 years journey, there was a lot of learning and a lot of relevance. And I think that that's something which is happening. If we are about summer resort, and we are about a country which is festive, it took a lot of pushing, but I must say that the Lakme Fashion Week board eventually bought into it. It may not have suited the publications, but it suited the designers. It was great for business, and that's what it is today. Sorry, I've been talking too long.
I want to ask Anahita and Rohit about this relationship with international recognition, business, and the sense of only having made it if you've made it abroad, whatever that means. And do you think it's still, as Anil said, we measured our success by what other people thought of us in some kind of post-colonial, state of mind in terms of our psyche that if other people like it, at least outside India, we're successful. How do you relate to that being representing Vogue, which in a sense is, outside in?
Okay, so I think when Fashion Week started, I wasn't representing
Yes.
Vogue. And at that time, there was this feeling. It was the feeling that we need to please the West. Like he said, the buyers came in, they were gods, they had escorts, they had cars, they had suites, everything. Whereas the poor Indian journalist was like, you come by yourself, they walk in through the entrance, whatever, look after yourself. So that distinction was made. However, with the correct learning, I think people realized that it was the Indian media that was actually giving our designers recognition, as well as the Indian buyers. And, as Anil said, seasons was an issue. And then, with Vogue coming into the market, seasons is something that we cannot ignore. Because apart from the fact that we may not have a seasonal change, there is a change in the buying pattern internationally, which we have to follow. Apart from that, for those of you who don't know, each issue has a 3-month cycle. So anything I see today, the first time it can come into print is 3 months later. That's not optional. That's just the way a regular Vogue works. So keeping that in mind, we did put some pressure to try and have the seasons flexible. And even in this week, if you notice, a lot of the designers come up to me and say, listen, this is my autumn-winter collection as well. So I think there is a gray area there, but fortunately, we are growing with it. As a magazine, as well as the industry is learning that we can't change that cycle. We have to know when clothes are available to be relevant. So for example, if a store presents the collection tomorrow morning, there's no way I can meet that deadline. And it also means that actually the orders are very small. Because if you are to produce at a certain scale, you do need time. You need to print that fabric, you need to do the embroidery, and that all takes time. So I think for the industry to grow to the level that we want it to grow, there has to be a certain structure. And I have to say that I'm extremely proud, especially of even the young designers, because they are following it.
Do you think international brands coming into the market over the past 15 years has helped the Indian fashion industry, or has it, in a sense, taken away from them?
I don't think anything's taken away. I think it helps. It also has helped us to value what we stand for. I mean, nobody can replicate the kind of embroidery, the kind of textiles that we produce in our country. And I think that's something that makes us extremely proud. And even the international brands, I mean, we did a project where we gave a lot of the international brands fabrics to work with. And their reaction was so overwhelming that it comes back to the fact that we have a heritage, we have craft, and I think it's important that we protect that, watch it grow, nurture it, and also not necessarily in a very obvious way. I mean, I was discussing with Sabina earlier this morning that a lot of the younger designers don't obviously use textile, but there is a weave to what they're using. It's the most, the beautifulest quality of silk or whatever, but it's not obvious. It doesn't have to be a lehenga. It doesn't have to be a kurta. So I think the industry has grown, and coming back to the international brands, I think it's helped us to have a bit of structure in terms of deadlines, in terms of deliveries, and I think that helps.
Rohit, tell me about your relationship. You work a lot with international brands in various capacities, maybe as a brand ambassador and so on, and a lot of people wear your clothes in different parts of the world as well. Do you see this tension in navigating your Indianness in these different roles?
Actually, I quite agree that about the international relevance. Of course, when Indian fashion sort of began, it really did go through this very strong it was a very strong feeling that if you really want to prove yourself as a designer, you really have to do something out of India. But I think that was when Indian fashion wasn't strong enough as it's now. I think there's no harm being influenced by any other culture, really, to be honest. But I think our strength as designers in our country is really textile, handwork, crafts, techniques that cannot happen anywhere else in the world, even in China. So I think what we need to do is find an amalgamation between an intercultural kind of correlation, a synergy. There's, like I said, it's always, cultures only grow when they intermingle with each other. And I think likewise for fashion, I see no harm in taking ideas from other countries, from other, from international architecture, music, whatever it might be. But I just feel that we as Indian designers have a huge responsibility, in revival of all our arts and all our crafts, which are almost dying. There's incredible craft that you won't find anywhere else in the world. Our basic ethos of handwork, our basic sort of, cultural heritage of embellishment, of embroidery. And I see the only problem I had with this when I was, when I saw a lot of the younger designers, and I still see them, is this kind of, they actually feel, and I don't know if it's still true, please correct me, they actually feel that if they're doing Indian clothes, they're demeaning themselves, and that they're not designers. And that to me is appalling, because I actually know designers who started off doing only Western clothing and then finally succumb to, obviously, because they have to survive. And it's not because of survival, it's because this is who you are. I mean, why should I want to go and do a frock and a skirt when I can do something that belongs to my country? I have 4,500 years of India to catch up on. Why would I go to any other country? Really?
Yes.
True, actually. In fact, right now in the shows we've been seeing, there's such a strong move towards creating Indian silhouettes. So it's actually the right direction. A lot of designers have taken from that, but they've used textures or techniques that are still contemporary in their look, but the silhouette is Indian. So it's
Rohit, you
great.
spoke about revival. In the past 15 years, have you seen that as Indian fashion has grown, that perhaps craftspeople have either been paid more or encouraged, their children are encouraged to join the profession more? Are you seeing that?
I think I'm actually seeing a lot of it now. One thing I just need to say is I think after many decades of being slaves to the West, not literally, but also
terms of labor.
ideas
Yeah.
and everything, I think now, and I'm going to say this very proudly, I think Indians, all of us, are finally proud of being Indian. And I think that to me is the greatest achievement of the country. And it's not just about fashion, it's about everything else. It's about Indian architecture, it's about Indian writing, it's about Indian food, it's about Indian lifestyle. I think what we lost many hundreds of years ago is finally coming back to us, this pride in being Indian. And I think that is the one thing that's going to be the strength for every single creative thing that India has to offer. I think over the last 10 or 15 years, I have seen arts and many crafts from almost dying to being alive and actually being a part of almost everyone here. Whether it's been ancient techniques of bandage, tie-dye, whether it's been things like, adopted from the West, whether it's been Japanese shibori, whether it's been incredible weaves, whether it's been a paitani or the hundreds of weaves that we have, the textile revival of, old Mughal art forms of costume, of embroidery, techniques that were going to die. I think all of us have contributed towards at least trying to keep them alive. I'm not saying that we've made this huge but we're trying, and I think that's really where it all matters.
Yeah.
We need to try, all of us here, we can't let it go. Like I said to you, we can't let thousands of years of history and culture, I think the first fabrics that were woven in the world have been amongst, outside of being Egypt, have been Indian. Why are we can't let that go, and I'm not going to let it go, and even if it means fighting with the whole world, I am going to keep being Indian, and I'm going to keep saying, please, please, carry on wearing our incredible textiles. All of you young girls out there, don't forget about the sari, don't forget about Indian textiles. Don't look down upon anything that's Indian. I see that happening a lot. Yeah. We've really got to be proud of everything that's Indian.
Fashion media in India is quite responsible for this whole young designers believing it's not cool to do Indian, wear Indian. So as a result, feeling the pressure of having to impress editorial, or feature in editorial, they're forced to do this whole Western thing instead of...
I think it's a very relevant question, Sabina, but I just need to say something. I think that depends entirely upon the individual designer. I think, I know, but there are lots of young people I've seen as well who actually have a very strong and we've a very, very strong sense of identity and a very strong sense of Indian identity as well. I think what I've done over the last 25 years, and it's taken me a long time really, and I know that a lot of people are doing it at a very young age now in very few years, I think you've got to be able to convince the media of that. You've got to be able to tell them that as far as I'm concerned, you might think that doing something which is Western or, kind of sort of with it might be important, but for me it's not. And you've got to stick to your guns. You've got to really stick to your principles. And eventually, I think I've been, I've had a love and hate relationship with the media for forever. But I think that when we started out, yes, we are now, in the company of the people who started out as being journalists also. I think there's a certain sense of maturity and certain sense, and again, of Indianness that has actually crept into the media now. And I don't think that the media actually expects. I remember I did a lot of Western clothing and a lot of kind of bizarre and completely out of crazy stuff. And I remember that it did get a lot of press, and it always attracted a lot of attention. And it also gave me, I got very excited. But I think I'm the same person, and now I do the same, I do what I want to do. It's not mad or crazy or bizarre, but somehow I think the press is now reacting to it in the same way as they reacted to when we did bizarre stuff. So I think it's a maturity and a certain sense of security, I think, of the fact that, yes, it doesn't have to be necessarily bizarre or crazy. I think that's gone, it's over. I think that's very last decade, that do something crazy. But yes, your question is extremely relevant, and I'm really glad you asked it.
So Anayata,
Can I just build on that?
Yeah.
You're right, and just building on what you're saying, but I think that what's happened in the last maybe 2 years only is this whole digital and social media. And I think that you've taken a lot of initiatives, for example, the whole Instagram, which has been done here, the bloggers, the power to create or dictate, which is what was the relevance of the question which was there, in terms of certain types of media. I think democracy has set in. And what you will Google for, Facebook for, Instagram for, or whatever, is going to be your audience. And there are now enough people who are going to be looking at it that way. And hence, I think the whole role of media is undergoing a massive change. So traditional media, new media, and I would say to everybody, reach out, because the relevant group that you are looking at as your customers are not looking at only the traditional media, which are the magazines, but they are looking at everything else.
Yeah. Even designers, for that matter, right? Today you can buy Rohit Bal on Jabong or somewhere else, and it's for you, it's a chance to reach to an audience which perhaps you were craving but couldn't reach to because of distribution. Anayata, did you want to respond?
So I agree. I mean, even at Condé Nast with Vogue, we no longer look at ourselves as a purely print medium. We are a multimedia company. I mean, our website is as popular. The videos we make are as popular. But coming back to what Sabina was saying is, I think, this thing of Indian versus not Indian, for me, it's more about domestic versus international. I think we seamlessly, at Vogue, I can proudly say that, when we're traveling, people say it's amazing. When we see an editorial, we don't know what's produced in India or what's international. And I think that is the joy for us. It's equal. Now, whether the silhouette is Indian or the silhouette is Western, created by an Indian designer, I think that's subjective to the editorial storyline, the narrative. But I think, actually, I'm proud to say there's a seamless.
The styling.
Exactly.
A lot of styling, because then that's where you kind of sort of amalgamate the two looks. Yeah.
But I agree with you. I think this whole thing of bizarre is good. I mean, I remember last season seeing a show on this very stage, which was bizarre. And the only thought I thought was that, are you doing this to come in a magazine? Because you're never going to make it.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I
that's
think
over
times
now,
have changed.
It's gone.
It's gone, and the whole thing of, curating what is available. But also, I think a very important thing that I feel for us at Vogue was the way we dress. The way we dress is we mix our international and domestic fashion seamlessly. And my goal is to create that here. So, and I'm proud to say that 8 years down the line, we're seeing it all over the place. And it's not about buying the ultimate label, both sides, but putting the look together, a creative idea,
Excellent.
a new aspiration.
Now times have changed and the question is changing as well.
Yeah. In fact, just
Last response to this.
there was this philosophy that Lakme took on, and every season there is the grand finale and there's a theme. And there was one theme which stayed for 3 seasons. which was called, some of you may remember, Free Spirit. And Free Spirit, as it was looked upon by us, was a very secure woman in her identity, in her culture, in her heritage and Indianness. But she's very well educated, very well traveled. So she sees the influences of the world and she picks up the influences and she brings in the influences, but the core is Indian. And I think that that personifies that we don't need to wear India on our sleeve. We have it, and it's in our heart. But we are open people, and we pick up ideas, and only a free-spirited person can actually carry it off, and you can spot them wherever they are.
I'm gonna suggest some terms to you which I think have defined Indian fashion of the past 15 years. Just give me your instant response to it. So Rohit, we'll start with you.
Oh God, please. Okay.
Bollywood.
Tollywood?
Bollywood.
So what am I
Yeah,
supposed to
Bollywood.
say?
How I believe it's defined Indian fashion for the past 15 years. I mean,
Sadly.
you have to. Anahita,
Happily
Bollywood.
Overjoyed. No, I think, does it have to be a one-word answer? Oh,
Can
okay.
be a few sentences.
Okay. Yeah. No, I think, it's an industry you can't ignore. We coexist. I think today a lot of the young actors are amazing icons for style. And whether it's on red carpets abroad, red carpets in India, the youth is looking to see how they're dressing. And there's a lot more attention to detail. And proud to say that as a stylist, I think more often than not, the women I dress are wearing Indian designers. So I think it's a move
So
in the
good.
right direction.
Anil.
Well, some time ago, there was this big thing in terms of that Lakme Fashion Week is only about Bollywood, and it's just lost its relevance in terms of design. And what one saw in the last 5 years was that the number of the Bollywood people who would approach us and say, please invite us to Lakme Fashion Week. And it wasn't about we going out or designers going out and saying, oh, we need these movie stars. And I think that's a great point that we have reached. It's an inflection point where Bollywood looks at fashion and Fashion Week and Lakme Fashion Week and really want to be here. And it's not that we are taking from them and destroying ourselves. They are actually getting together.
I personally feel, and this is purely from, this is an honest observation. I just feel that Bollywood is very incestuous, right? No offense to anyone here, please. It's very incestuous. Bollywood breeds within Bollywood. Bollywood breeds for Bollywood. And I don't think that they can actually look outside. And so what happens for me is I find everything looking extremely repetitive and the same. If X is wearing something which becomes a little popular in a commercial film, X, Y, Z, and A, B, C, D, E, all of them start looking the same. And that happens for a while, and then something else comes along. So I just feel that as we see fashion evolving in sort of the real world, I don't see that evolution, pace of that evolution in Bollywood. I find that it drags, it carries on, it keeps lingering. And I just find, as a designer, like I said to you, it's just a bit repetitive. And I think it takes a long time for it to, go full circle. Yeah.
So
and I
Anahita
just
is
wish
going to
that was
take that
happening a
as
little earlier.
feedback. She's going to take that as feedback for her future styling.
No, I'm happy.
Okay, next word, next response. And we can start the other way. Bridal. Good, bad, horrible. What has it done to Indian fashion?
It's fabulous. I mean, that's the essence and joy of every family and occasion is the wedding. And that's the great occasion to dress up, look good, more matchmaking which goes on during those functions. I think everybody looks fabulous. So I think it's great.
Okay, Anahita.
I think we're very lucky to have such a strong bridal fashion industry. I mean, not only the bride, but even the guests, because it's not that anyone goes unnoticed. I mean, I know the girls in my office, if there's a friend's wedding, it's like, the end of the world, but I can't wear this sari because that guy was there and he saw me in this and whatever. So it's a huge market, and I think we're very lucky to have it.
You don't think it's overwhelming the rest?
Not at all. I think it's fantastic, and I think it's one market that helps us keep the craft alive. So why would we not want it? I just think it needs to grow and get bigger.
Right.
Bridal. It's the only reason I can afford to buy these shoes, to be honest. Otherwise, I wouldn't be surviving. I mean, let's face it, my bread, my butter, my jam, everything comes from Bridal. And I'm so, so thankful to all of you gorgeous girls and guys who spend incredible amounts of money getting married. Big hand for the great Indian, big fat Indian wedding. Lovely.
Internationally, and at least in the beginning of the Indian fashion industry, fashion was used as this vehicle to talk about larger issues, whether it's about gender, about sexuality. I remember your shows when you had the male models walk down the ramp with the sindoor, what an impact that made. You've been doing Vogue Empower. Lakme has been doing, whether it's Vivolve or other things, sporadically over the years. But my question is, do you think we've perhaps failed society as a fashion industry in the past 15 years by not talking enough about larger issues in a way that perhaps people in other parts of the world have used fashion more usefully? Yeah.
Well, I think, as a thinking magazine, yes, we are about fashion. Yes, we are about glamour. Yes, we are about aspiration. But somewhere, I think the core of our team felt a need to do more. It was a natural growth. We were not given any diktat or something. It just came from within the editorial department. I think so many women working together, and with whatever's been happening in the country, there was a strong feel to say something. And I'm very proud to say that I think over 200 people of our industry, which is fashion, film and sports, came together to support it. Without a question asked. Everybody pledged their time, people pledged their clothes, whatever, and it was a tool to get a message across of women's empowerment. And the beauty of it is it's still on. In fact, next week you'll see a huge announcement. And I think it's nice to sometimes take your weight and do something about the society that you're a part of. It's not just enough to sit back and watch the others do it.
Rohit, do you feel we've done enough in the past 15 years, or we could be doing more through fashion?
I think, as far as I'm concerned, we could always be doing more in fashion in every sense. And I think you spoke about a kind of a gender sort of. You spoke about I'm putting nuts on men and sindoor and skirts and all that stuff. I think fashion is so beyond sex and gender. Really, I think fashion is just so much more than being a man or a woman. I think for me, fashion is unisexual. It's not about dressing up a man or a woman. I do both. And I think androgyny and fashion have always been sort of fairly hand in hand. And I think what happens with extreme fashion is that the line between genders gets very blurred. And so it's about the fact that maybe some years ago, a man wouldn't be wearing the jacket you're wearing, or maybe this beautiful piece from Ladakh. So I think it's also about evolving. I think it's about evolution. It's about looking into the future. It's about a oneness, it's about equality, and it really encompasses all of that. So it's not really about any gimmicks or trends. It's really about looking into the future, about the oneness of gender. It's really about the oneness of being. It's about, like you said, it's about the soul and the heart much more than what you're wearing. And I think that's what I feel.
Anil?
I think that, and I will wear the organizer hat, although I'm not the organizer now, but I've just been a part of it for so long, is that the organizer has to create a very neutral platform where every participating designer, he or she, if they wish to express any of these thoughts of theirs which they passionately believe in, that should be there, rather than the organizer actually sort of dictating something there. And hence the view which will have to be there as an organizer has to be something which is neutral. But when things did happen, where Lakme Fashion Week needed to take a stance and actually tell people, if some of you may remember, is that when Mumbai got attacked, and
yes,
that we had the whole My Mumbai. And I think that had a phenomenal response. So things have been done, but I think as organizers, create a platform for people to express whatever they feel like.
This has been quite an education for me because this is my very first fashion week. So I have a statement to make, and that is, I don't think that the fashion industry and the entertainment industry is doing as much as it can to support women and in our country. I think we have to do a lot more. And the other thing is, I was curious to find out why, Anil, do you think that the international market didn't really take on Indian fashion? Did you ever really think about it? One of the things that, I mean, I'm very brand new to the industry, and what I found was that there is no free trade agreement between India and the US. And I posed that question to the government officials in the United States, and they said, well, we just didn't want us to compete with the Indians. The question is, can the free trade agreement help it out, or why is it that we don't have?
Okay, I think that your question has two parts. I will try and answer one, and I would leave the other to Rohit to answer, which is that why didn't Indian designers succeed in the international markets? And Rohit, I'll leave that for you to answer, because I think you'd be in a much better position. As far as free trade agreements are concerned, what happens is that it facilitates in terms of lower cost of goods, and hence it is cheaper for you to be able to buy goods of Indian origin and textiles in those markets. However, that can be an enabler, and hence can make things cheaper and more profitable. But if people don't inherently want that product, then even the free trade agreements are not going to achieve that. So that's where my point of view, and I think, Rohit, you can answer as to why this.
I think this is kind of this answer would obviously have different parts, and I think one of the reasons perhaps is the way I think about it, or I feel, is that I think for so many years before Indian designers and the Indian designer label actually began, for so many years the Western world was just so used to buying such cheap stuff from India and such rubbish from India, to be honest, that I think the price suddenly became it was like a shock to their system. They couldn't accept the fact that they're going to buy a label in India, because for them, India is still about snake charmers, and we're talking about the Americans right now. It's really about snake charmers and all sorts of other things, and camels and cows, and it's really not about fashion at all. So I think it was just a combination of price, a combination of mindset that the European and the American world had towards Indian fashion. Also, I must admit that the Indian fashion industry perhaps was the most disorganized, and obviously wasn't able to deliver what was actually expected of them. We are still very disorganized. We're now working towards that. But I think the Americans and the Europeans being used to working in a certain way, timelines, deliveries, quality, all of the issues were a problem. And I think now things have changed. But you know what happens sometimes? You miss the bus. I think we just missed that. We really missed that bus. And we are trying, obviously. I mean, there's some of us who really want to do this, want to do our brands, want to sell our brands overseas and want to become designers all over the international world. Some of the designers here have done it, very few. I mean, just maybe 2 or 3. But like I said, a combination of non-delivery. I mean, really, to me, I think it's really a combination of everything that led to a really simple thing, which basically, I think, made that whole thing vanish. And now it's going to take us some time to remedy that fault. It's going to take some time. It's not just going to happen overnight. I mean, fashion weeks, yes, all that stuff, but I think we missed the bus, really.
I think there's one important thing to realize, that in India, there's very little or maybe no corporatization of fashion. So the designer is doing everything, and which is why it is extremely difficult to meet deadlines, which is why I was saying there's a system. The system gives you time to make your deliveries. So that's why the seasons come into play. It's all part of creating this industry and making it stronger, which is why we want to work together to do that. So I think corporatization is something that would definitely help in a big way.
I think we need a big, I've always said this actually, we need a big business, we need a big corporate house, a big business house to actually back a designer. It's actually happening now, to be honest. It started happening. But it's happening from within the country. it's not really happening for doing it outside the country. So, but it is happening, and it's, if it wasn't for Lakme, it wasn't for, the other fashion week, we would really not have been able to work the way we work now. We actually have collections ready 4 or 5 months before the season. We actually do have a delivery schedule, and we're actually managing to do a lot of stuff that we couldn't have done if it hadn't been for these guys, if it hadn't been for Mr. Anil Chopra sitting here, actually. And I really think that he's the man who started it all, so I think he needs a really loud round of applause.
If it wasn't for Lakme.
It's the fashion family, and of which Lakme is a part of. So I think everybody deserves applause on that.
So I think if it wasn't for Lakme, it's a great way to pause. I'm not going to say stop, because all our fashion fundas, in a sense, we've seen, we just about start to have the conversation and then we pause. Not before thanking each of you for coming and sharing your time and your memories and your ideas with us.